I'm Louise Burns. I'm a senior faculty here at Arcadia University and I teach Shakespeare in London. Shakespeare lived in London and he created and he wrote in London. It was actually quite an influence on his plays. They're all set in other time periods and other parts of the world, but London had such an influence, I believe, on Shakespeare that you can see London in his plays. This course goes to Shakespeare's London. What was it like? What do we know of his world? And then how might we see the plays differently through that lens? There's a lot of access to Shakespeare in London. The Globe Theatre, for one, the Royal Shakespeare Company in Stratford-upon-Avon, and they often have a home here in London. So the trips we go on are to live theatre. We will always see at least 2 live productions. We get guest speakers. There's a wonderful company in London called Intermission Theatre. It's a company of actors who work together as young people and they talk about their lives. And then they're introduced to Shakespeare's plays. Some of them will have known Shakespeare, others will not have as much experience. And the stories in Shakespeare start to mirror the stories that they've been telling in their own lives. And then they actually perform a production of Shakespeare, but the text of Shakespeare is interwoven with their own stories and their own voices, and it brings an immediacy to Shakespeare. That is one of the greatest things about this course, is whenever they're doing something, we go and see it. And sometimes Intermission Youth Theatre come in and they do workshops with the students as well.
2, 3, 4.
We got to London early yesterday.
Yeah. We got to London early yesterday. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4.
The more you point, the more I do not know.
What is it about these plays that means that we are continuously revisiting them? And is it time that we not revisit them? I don't think that. But I think these are the questions we should ask. How do we connect to Shakespeare today? What is it about Shakespeare? Well, obviously part of it is the fact that he's become an institution who now represents England and then represents the wider idea of Britishness. But he's been formed by other people into that. So we can use that as a starting point as well and say why. And of course, there wasn't just Shakespeare, there were all of his contemporaries who worked as well. And what of the woman? What are the women's voices in and around Shakespeare? Yeah, I do love the course, actually. I do. I think it's wonderful. There's so much there to unpack. So it's the academics and the directors and the actors and the theaters and the people who just come in and talk about it with the students and expose them to it. And we also read a lot of it aloud in class. His plays were meant to be spoken and heard and performed aloud. So we do that as a group a lot. My background is in theatre as a professional actor, and I love the language and the poetry of Shakespeare. And so I make sure that we're not afraid of hearing him speak.
That's the end. Ta-da!